Hello everyone, Randall Tassick, Blue Core Leadership, and welcome to another leadership lesson from the Cockpit. And today we're going to talk about issues. Yes, those dreaded issues. And here's the question. Are your team solving issues at the root level, or are they spending a lot of time with symptoms? Let's chat about it, and let's make sure we find a way to dive into those root issues and solve them forever. We'll talk soon. Welcome back to the Cockpit, and we're going to dive into the art and science of solving issues. And so often we think we're at the root and we're actually on our way of solving symptoms, and that never works because those symptoms, when solved, aren't really solved for the long term. So how do we truly know when we are at the root versus the symptom? It's a really good question because it's not always obvious. I want to give you an example of a maintenance issue I just had a few weeks ago. Without boring you with the details, my airplane works with a dual ignition system, and there's two spark plugs per cylinder. All that said, when I went to the right mag, it actually died. So now, fast forward, I have my maintenance team on the ground spending time trying to diagnose the issue. They spent 2 to 3 hours trying to figure out what was wrong with that right magneto. So here's what we found out. When this was originally put in, they had swapped what they called the P leads. So when we thought we were checking the right magneto, we were actually checking the left magneto. All that said, we were shooting with a symptom of it not working, but we didn't get to the root cause because we didn't know we were working on the wrong magneto. Now I asked myself, how could we have known that beforehand? And actually there really wasn't much we could do. Sometimes it's very difficult to really determine what the root cause is, but we've got to keep on pushing hard, relentlessly push for identifying the root cause. We eventually did it. It cost extra time, which cost extra money, but we did it and we fixed the problem. But now let me bring it back to the business world. I'm thinking about a client from many, many years ago where they were really working on symptoms and not willing to go into the root. And in fact, the root really was more obvious than they thought. Their controller, who was basically managing all the books and the finances that went up to the head of finance, did a really, really good job. She was perfect at this work. She very, very rarely made a mistake. But her personality was terrible. She really was poison for the company. She had a bad attitude, and people that worked for her were simply afraid of her. And here's the thing. The leadership team identified the issue with her, but they kept on tiptoeing around it. And they were putting solutions out there that were all about helping this person turn herself around, and help this person make things easier for her. But in fact, the issue really was her. And the fact is she was the wrong person in the right seat. She really did the job well, but she was the wrong person for the company. And here's the problem. It took 1 year for the CEO to finally decide to fire her because there was nothing else that was working. And ultimately, if you take a look back a year prior to that, they all knew the problem. She did not fit the culture, but they were not willing to accept that. They did not dig into the root cause, and therefore they wasted a year. And they actually lost some people, some good people, in the meantime. So the fact is, in most cases, the root cause is something that you can identify. Sometimes it takes longer than others to get to it. In the case with my maintenance of my airplane, it took a long time. In the case of the controller, who really was not the right person in the company, they knew the root cause earlier. They were fearful of making a tough decision. So we have a few takeaways here. First of all, number one, and I think the most important thing is, you must relentlessly pursue the root cause. You must continue to focus and push each other to make sure that you're actually at the root. The second takeaway is that once you get to that root, you must be willing to solve it. You have to do the hard work to solve it, have those tough discussions, and ultimately be absolutely willing to do what you have to do to solve that problem and move on. And the last thing that I would say here is that it may take time to get to the root, and over time you get better and better at identifying that root and knowing when you're there and being able to push your team to be honest and dive into what really is going on. So what's going on in your business? What is it that you are seeing around issues? Are your teams getting good at diving into the route sooner rather than later, and then making some tough decisions at times. As always, I really enjoy having you in the cockpit, and I look forward to seeing you next month when we have a very special guest in the cockpit. Joining me is a captain and instructor for Southwest Airlines, so I hope you join me for that. Until then, I hope you are having smooth skies on your side, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.
07 Charlie Delta, left turn near discretion, Alpha to the ramp, my frequency. Have a great night.
Okay, left turn here, Alpha to the ramp will stay with you. You have a good night as well, thanks.